That might be all you need.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's shift over to Saturday Night Dynamite from Daly's Place, a live show tonight. And we start off with Alex Marvez earlier in the day with Sammy Guevara, who gets jumped by Sean Spears, who attacks his shoulder with a chair shot. So that will probably play into the match on Wednesday with MJF, but would not be the last we would see of Spears and Guevara on this show. First match was Powerhouse Hobbs and Hangman Page with Taz on commentary. No Team Taz out there. And Jim Ross asks if we're ready for some cowboy shiznit.
Yeah, he delivered that really well. I hope Jim Ross has one of these a week.
They compared
Can somebody just get Jim Ross to say it's lit or I don't know, what else do people say these days?
I don't know. Maybe borrow from his rap session that time on Raw.
Yes.
They were comparing Hobbs to Hacksaw Butch Reed and noting it's Fan Appreciation Night this Wednesday. And Hobbs attacked Page's arm on the guardrail, which is the arm he uses for the buckshot lariat. This was a totally awesome crowd tonight in this opener and even more so in the main event. Page ended up getting the top of his head cut, and there was quite a lot of blood forming. This guy pretty much went through a hair dye job throughout this match.
Yeah. I mean,
he's been getting busted up a lot lately, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. You're almost guaranteed a good match if you see Hangman Page in an opening match, and lately it almost seems like you're guaranteed some unintentional blood too. This time, I mean, it was effective, but obviously if you're going to get cut unintentionally, you'd want in a maybe more prominent place.
Yeah, this was definitely not, I don't think was planned for blood, but nonetheless, Page worked through it. Starks and Hobbs come out carrying the FTW title, which leads to Brian Cage coming out, snatching the title away and continuing the dissension among the Team Taz members. I thought this was a really, really enjoyable match between these two. I thought Powerhouse Hobbs got to showcase quite a bit in this match, and Hangman might be their best guy to put in some of these opening spots. Always shines in this role, and Hobbs hits a spine buster for a big near fall. And Page comes back with a deadlift German and the Deadeye, since he was not able to use the buckshot lariat because of the arm, and wins in 11:09.
I totally agree. I just love Page in these opening matches, and simply that because I think he brings an equal level of star power, along with just great attraction to this audience who see him as a big deal, and his wrestling is just so good, and he doesn't have to rely on too many flashy things. He hits hard. He does spectacular, a moonsault here and there when he needs to, but the rest I think is because of personality. I just find he's in the position right now perfectly in line, just on the cusp of that kind of main event bubble. And, again, it's WWE lacks anybody in that position right now. People who are just one championship win away from being a star. I don't see anybody there who's like that. Maybe Big E, maybe I'm trying to think who else. Whatever. But Page is that guy. And Hobbs didn't get the win tonight, but I thought he looked excellent.
I thought this was his best showing. I thought he looked really good in this match.
Looks super confident playing the monster here. That he's got that excellent snarl that I think makes him a very effective heel. I definitely see after this that I think he's more than ready for a major storyline and a push. And I think once you get Cage out of the group, I think it would be time to give him that bigger identity. They protected him in this match. They gave him a counter to the buckshot lariat with that spine buster that the camera unfortunately almost missed. And then it was an interference finish here that, basically protected him.
They showed some Road to footage for Omega and Jungle Boy, noting that the last time they had a Saturday Night Dynamite was when Brody Lee shocked the world, beating Cody Rhodes last summer. The Young Bucks did a segment with Brandon Cutler, and they are the longest reigning AEW Tag Champions, ran through the teams that they've beaten, including SCU and Moxley and Kingston, noting that their babies are cuter than Moxley's, and said that Penta and Kingston aren't even a real team. They're just two singles guys, and they kept ignoring Cutler until the end and just trying to be aggravating throughout this promo.
Yeah,
and
that was cute.
And we're building up for a title eliminator match on Wednesday with Penta and Eddie Kingston against the Bucks. Tony Schiavone is in the ring with Tully Blanchard, and then they bring out Konnan with his Julio Cesar Chavez hat. Tully lets Konnan go first. And Konnan...
Big mistake.
Boy, dude. He pretty much got into a Mack truck and just hit the gas on this promo. Konnan would not be intimidated. He brings up how FTR said that they had as hard an upbringing as Santana and Ortiz. Well, Santana and Ortiz have been stabbed, shot, and kidnapped, but they are still here. I did not know they had been kidnapped.
Didn't they get kidnapped in an ankle? Oh, were they kidnapped in real life? Is that what he was suggesting?
I think he was suggesting their upbringing, that they were kidnapped.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
Obviously,
I'm not sure.
were returned. And said he knows that FTR are from North Carolina, where the men are men and the sheep are scared. That might have been our first bestiality reference on AEW programming.
Not in pro wrestling, but yes.
No, but AEW at least entering that territory. He talked about tipping over cows and getting into bar fights being their example of a hard upbringing and eating vegan, while they have to deal with racial profiling, gang members going after them, and the incarceration rate for men of color being 5 times higher. And unlike you, Tully, you're just a mentor. I'm their father. And he mentions that when Santana lost his biological father, they called up Konnan and said, "We need you." And Tully better learn how to speak Spanish to speak to your grandkids.
Yeah.
We got our Tessa Blanchard Daga reference here.
I did not even put 2 and 2 together. You're absolutely right. Yes. Wow.
So this dude, Konnan just like went here, and you could Tully at one point was like trying to get him to rap, and Conan's like, no, I'm continuing here. So Tully had no chance here with this comeback because Konnan had just like eviscerated him. Tully says, "You don't know who you're dealing with. You're going to get your one and only chance here on Dynamite, and then you'll be gone right after FTR wins." Konnan takes over. Walmart is still hiring greeters, and we are like scarecrows outstanding in our field. Dude, this guy was just hitting them. Just line after line after line.
Konnan, he's already dead. Please stop.
This was a roast. This is what this turned into, the roast of Tully. And he was getting roasted. So out come the supposed Santana and Ortiz, and I think everyone saw this coming a mile away because they were completely covered up. And Tully was one step ahead, knowing what they would try, as they direct Konnan to the big screen where Santana and Ortiz are laid out, and the 2 men in the ring are in fact FTR. They annihilate Konnan, including a spike pile driver being hit. And then, what might have been my highlight was Cash Wheeler genuflecting and making the sign of the cross at the end of it. This guy is great. Like, that to me, I'll remember that more than I will the spike pile driver. And they note this is the second hit by the Pinnacle tonight after Spears attacked Guevara.
Love this segment. What a great way to make use of your legends. Like, both of these guys might not be able to go in the ring anymore, but on the mic, somebody like Konnan is as sharp as he ever was. And I think there's great value to be had from people like him because 99% of your in-ring roster cannot speak like this man. He came out here and I think he almost used this as like his tryout. Like, it was probably the biggest audience he's had for a promo segment in quite a while, and he took full advantage, and Tully Blanchard was not ready for it. I felt so bad for Tully, because, like, I wouldn't doubt that there was a great deal of, like, improvisation here. Like, don't tell me what you're going to say until we go out there. And he went out there, and he embarrassed this old man on TV. I wish Tully came prepared with a bit more material, but Konnan just, like, it was impossible. He would have lost either way, because Konnan brought, like, great kind of like a retort to FTR's promo last week. Brought up the race card, and it's like very appropriately brought up the race card because I thought kind of FTR's promo last week was a little out of line. So did that, and then the Walmart line at the end to cap it all off. It was just like, man, definitely he murdered him. It was embarrassing.
Well, I mean, you have to look at this, like, you take a step back. The point of this segment was to get your interest heightened for the tag match. And that doesn't always mean that you're going tit for tat on promos and you get these many good lines in and you get these many good lines in. It's like Konnan came in and he talked his ass off. And at the end, it was FTR and Tully standing tall. So hopefully at the end of this, you're thinking, I want to see Santana and Ortiz kick the shit out of these two guys who laid out Konnan, who I was super entertained by for the couple of minutes that he spoke. And that's why this segment worked.
No doubt Konnan had to win the promo battle, but I wanted to see more of a fight. You know what I mean? Especially with somebody like Tully Blanchard. And I certainly think Tully should have gone first. You know, like give us maybe like a good, you know, like a few jabs there, and then Konnan comes in for the kill, and then you bring in FTR to like, you know, do the actual physicality. But I thought it was a great idea for a segment. I hope they use more legends like this in the future.
I just take my example of that Belair Seth Rollins promo segment. It's like, it's everything I hate about promo segments. And this was like everything I enjoyed about them. It's like they could not be too different. And these are somehow in the same industry.
Well, these guys know professional wrestling.
Because these two were sent out and their instruction was probably sell this tag match.
Yeah.
That's probably it.
You think Konnan sticks around?
I think at least for this program, he has to. I mean, they kind of did do like almost a write-off here. Although we do have storyline precedent that FTR's spike pile drivers aren't that effective. So he might be fine.
Right.
I hope he does. Like, I think Santana and Ortiz are a stronger act with them. And Konnan does work as like being like kind of this associate of the inner circle with the history with Jericho. Like he naturally fits in the background of that group.
Yeah, in the background. You know, he's more of a lead guy though. Konnan like can really have his own stable. In fact, like,
well, if this is where we're going with the inner circle, that, you know, slowly these guys are kind of moving off. Like Santana and Ortiz with Konnan, like we know that's a proven act. So I think that certainly they're like, you know, you have this option, but I also didn't need this segment to know Conan's a great talker and he works great with these guys. So this was sort of just proof for those that maybe were not exposed to LAX prior.
And even, you know, and even if they were to break off, because Santana has been doing so well on his own, maybe you just rely on Konnan more as sort of like, you know, the occasional guy who drops in, like the mentor who, like the Nick Fury of the group.
Okay. There you go. Dante Martin versus Matt Seidel. As Dante is coming out, Vicky interrupts with Andrade. And they got a lot of heat on Vicky here as she just screamed. And they were about to make an announcement when Matt Seidel cut them off and Andrade just walked to the back. And I thought for sure Andrade was going to do something with Seidel here, but never made another appearance. And we didn't get this announcement.
I would assume this would get picked up on in a future episode.
I'm sure they'll do something with it.
Yeah.
But Seidel and Dante Martin, they had a nice match. They were putting over Dante Martin at 20. Look at like what this guy can do. He's, you know, very impressive for the experience that he has so far. Seidel worked over the knee, used a bow and arrow. They went through the break. Martin came back with leg kicks and then a double springboard moonsault. Seidel hit a Meteora, and then Martin comes off the top, landing on the injured knee that Seidel's been working on, and hit him with the lightning spiral. So Seidel gets the victory, and maybe this will be Andrade's first AEW matches with Matt Seidel.
It looks like it, you know, and it would make sense why they would want to showcase Seidel here, giving him a win to presumably build him up. And I think Andrade Seidel sounds like a good first opponent to showcase what Andrade could do outside of the WWE system, you know, well, for the first time since he was in the WWE.
Jungle Boy said, "It might be the biggest night of my life tonight." Christian walks in saying, "No, it is the biggest night of your life," and gives him a pep talk. Jungle Boy admits he's nervous, and Christian says, "You can't just be happy to be in this spot. You need to be a little pissed off because some people think you don't deserve to be in this spot. And the reason Omega is acting this way is because he knows you're a legitimate threat. So go shock the world like you did in the Casino Battle Royale."
I enjoyed the segment. I thought it was a good way to build up to the main event tonight, to continue to establish the mentor, you know, protege relationship between these two. And I think mostly for me, it builds my interest in Christian. It's the most depth Christian has had as a character since joining AEW. I thought he played the mentor really well here and delivered like a pretty well conceived, well delivered locker room pep talk.
Do you think he should have wore a dad hat to convey the relationship here?
Oh, I don't know. We could have a battle of the dads in AEW between Christian and Sting. I think Christian's a better dad than Sting. Sting's more of like the do whatever you want, son. You know, just don't. You don't want me to show up? You don't want a babysitter tonight? Sure, no problem.
Jade Cargill and Mark Sterling were pushing hashtag Jade brand and plugged their new agreement with Shop AEW and made fun of some fans being fat because they've sold out of their double XL merchandise and then tore up a Dark Order shirt. This took me to when WWE Shop is doing those holiday sales and they put the guys on screen to like push the merchandise. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It just felt a little, I don't want to see Jade Cargill pushing the AEW Shop merchandise.
Yeah,
we went from like a world-renowned Four Seasons hotel sponsorship to the website.
Well, technically, she was pushing her own merchandise because the sale was only active, I think, for her own stuff. But I don't disagree with you. There's something about maybe tonight's segment that didn't quite work with me. Where I think when she was doing the whole, free agent type of thing, she felt like a bigger deal. She felt like like she was destined for like a bigger role in the division, and she could still be right now, but I would say like these segments almost lean almost too comedic for me to take the gimmick too seriously.
I do think like it's an ongoing thing, and this is an example of one of just how many of these earlier today going backstage. Like, dude, there were so many segments on this show.
It's a fast moving show, and they have a lot of people on that roster that need airtime. So yeah, you feel it, especially when like, if you're anything like me, John, when these commercial breaks hit, you're like, thank God I get to rest for 3 minutes, and the 3 minutes are up just like that.
Like, well, you want me to tell you like part of my routine when we're watching these shows is like
sure.
Monday for Raw. Like usually I'm pretty much like trying to get kids to go to sleep until 8:00. Okay. 7:45 to 8:00. And like Monday or Friday for SmackDown, finish at 8. I've got time. I can go out and get a coffee. I'm home by 8:15, 8:20. No problem. Dude, tonight I was ready to start at 8:02. I was like, not a chance. I cannot possibly go get a coffee and start Dynamite at 8:20. Not a chance. Not a chance.
You would have missed the Sammy thing. You probably would have missed a good chunk of Hobbs.
It's not about missing any of it. It's I won't catch up. I'll start at the beginning. I will not catch up in time to be ready for the show at 10:15. WWE, like, no problem. I will catch up and it'll work itself out. I can start Raw like closer to 9 and I'm fine. Like, it's not a problem.
And that's the problem in the opposite direction. There's too much you could skip. This one, there's a balance that needs to be found.
Alex Marvez is with MJF, Wardlow, and Spears. They call Marvez Pig Vomit. And MJF just cuts a promo on Dean Malenko. He did him a big favor, giving him an early retirement, noting he has a bad heart and Parkinson's disease. If this was like 25 years ago, they'd be putting Dean Malenko in the ring with MJF. Thankfully, it's 2021.
They kind of did last week. He was at an angle. He did
physicality. Yes. Yeah. I don't think you're going to get a match out of Dean Malenko. I don't want to see a match out of Dean Malenko.
I don't even want to see the physicality.
Many didn't last week. I don't think it was the kind of segment that got heat for it. To be honest, like, I don't think anyone even remembered it after the fact, to be quite honest. It wasn't even people were upset or thought it was. I just think it was one of those that it kind of got lost in everything.
It's getting to the territory of being too cheap, like distasteful.
Hager and Jericho jump them, and we get this big brawl into the ring where the Inner Circle is getting beaten down. Sammy Guevara is positioned as the big hero coming to make the save. This was all about Sammy Guevara. He nailed Wardlow and Spears with chair shots, but MJF escaped. Crowd's going nuts, chanting Sammy. And he said that they will learn on Wednesday that AEW chose the wrong guy for the action figures and the posters, and he will prove he's the best ever.
Does Sammy not have an action figure?
I knew Britt Baker was the one complaining about it. I guess Guevara didn't get one either. This is where Jericho just kind of ducks his head and is like, yeah, I got all that stuff. But
he
anyway.
He does have an action figure. He's an Unrivaled Series 4, so...
Okay, well, I don't know. That's what he said here. He said action figures and posters.
Okay, well...
maybe MJF was in the first set.
Sure.
They're battling for posters. Everywhere. They're battling for poster placement on Wednesday, which, again, this Guevara-MJF match, it's a big match. And I really like how this segment was laid out, right down to the fact that, there was no Santana and Ortiz, no FTR, and Guevara is getting the spotlight in these segments.
Yeah, I think they're doing a pretty good job giving, the spotlight on to Sammy in these segments. And it almost didn't matter what he said because this crowd was totally for him and totally for the inner circle.
Miro did a tape promo thanking God for making him powerful and his hot wife flexible. And he is God's favorite champion, and standing between a righteous man and his path is like being between a cleaver and the meat. So I guess Brian Pillman Jr. is between meat and a cleaver.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be there.
Probably not, no.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with the line?
Nothing. It was just, it was interesting. Meat and cleaver. It takes you back to bad characters in the Attitude Era.
Yes, Beaver Cleaver. Beaver
and
Cleavage,
meat.
Sorry. Yes.
And
meat, you're right, yeah.
And meat. Ethan Page versus Bear Bronson.
I really like the promo from Miro, actually. I think he had great deliveries and some great lines that I actually felt instilled a little bit of fear,
Anytime you can invoke God, I think it works. Whether it's Cash Wheeler or Miro.
God and his flexible wife in the same sentence.
Yes. Ethan Page versus Bear Bronson. These two had a lot more time than I thought they were going to get. I think everyone was curious to see what the time allotment would be for the main event. They gave this one 10 minutes, including a break. Page ended up hitting a superplex. You got caught with a spinning side slam from Bronson, and then Bear Boulder yanks Scorpio Sky off the apron, and with the referee distracted, Page hit a low blow and Ego's Edge onto Bronson for the win in 9:56. Kind of a lame finish with the low blow, but also very impressive that this guy got Bear Bronson up and not only hit his move, but launched this dude. It was very impressive looking. But I did think this was a lot to go 10 minutes with, someone unknown, I would say, in Bear Bronson and Ethan Page, who you're still establishing.
For me, it was that issue. The star power was not that strong here. Maybe the stories weren't really all that strong here to hold my interest for the time. But I find it interesting how they're stylistically allowing Page to wrestle like he's a big man. Certainly against Darby Allin, he is going to be able to play that big man.
Yeah, so after Page cut a promo, continually repeating that he's going to be the nail in the coffin of Darby Allin, and suggests they have a coffin match on July the 7th in Miami at Road Rager. So we're going to get, on the same show, a coffin match and a strap match between Cody and QT Marshall.
Yeah. No connection between the two. Coffins and straps. One is definitely a bit more intense than the other. So I'm looking forward to this. It's a big hook for me. Having seen a little bit of their Evolve stuff, but not really being in it at the time, I'm excited to see this one live.
I'm very worried they're going to do the body bag spot.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Jesus.
In front of at least they're doing it in front of a crowd.
You know what was also very intense was the heat. Literally, because, dude, Scorpio Sky, they had a shot of him during this promo. He must have lost 10 pounds being out here for this match.
Didn't they say something about the temperature?
They said it was hot. I think it was 78 degrees, Jim Ross stated.
I do Celsius, so I have no idea.
Well, it's hot. You know how hot it is in Winnipeg right now?
How?
32.
That's pretty hot.
It wasn't that hot in Jacksonville tonight. I'm looking at it right now. It's like, that's 25. Which, I mean, if you're outdoors for a long time, it's probably
Wait
hot.
a second. No, 25 is comfortable. What is he sweating
Under lights and stuff. I mean, I could see that.
Okay.
Baker and Rebel cut a promo mocking Vicky for being old. Baker also pointing out all the things they could have asked Tony Khan for.
Everybody in the chat room is saying humidity. Okay, so yeah, humidity.
All right. She just called Vicky old and is going to send her home with a prescription. Nyla and Vicky cut their own promo that this match is an appetizer for Nyla to become women's champion, which the title match is going to take place July 21st on night 2 of Fyter Fest. And Nyla says, watch out for the claws of the cougar.
Yeah, Vicky.
This promo segment, back to back, did not heighten my interest for this match next week.
No, unfortunately not. I don't know. It's, you know, I was not completely like down on Vicky being involved in it with Andrade nor Nyla Rose, but like, man, seeing some of the talent promo wise on this show, I think really highlights maybe, you know, her shortcomings as a.
Can you imagine Konnan with Andrade?
Oh yeah, it'd be amazing. Exactly. So, yeah, I'm not really sure about Vicky.
Yeah, I think the jury is out.
Like Nyla, I thought did better than Vicky.
I mean, she just had the one line at the end.
Yeah, but in terms of personality and delivery, you know, like Vicky's got her thing, and I think like that's valuable when used in the right context. But maybe in AEW, like, you know, segments like these, there's just such a high standard.
The Bunny versus Chris Statlander. The Blade was out with the Bunny, and Orange Cassidy was out with Statlander. And they mentioned here, and it had been tweeted out earlier by Trent, that he had just undergone neck fusion surgery, and Tony Schiavone said it was for spinal stenosis. So, I mean, you hear neck fusion surgery, that sounds like a long time he's going to be gone.
I didn't.
And he had just had the torn pec as well that he had just come back from not all that long ago.
I didn't realize it was that serious.
Yeah, that's going to be a long one.
Was there a particular spot? Like, I'm trying to remember.
I mean, if it's spinal stenosis, I mean, that's just a
wear and tear
ongoing issue that he's been having. That, I mean, that's spinal stenosis. That's very concerning when someone's got that. I mean, there was, you know, a time when, I mean, that's largely why Steve Austin stopped wrestling.
Yeah.
There was a shotgun drop kick here by Statlander by the Bunny, sending Statlander into the guardrail. They went through the break. There was a twisting Michinoku driver. They were putting over how Statlander has been undefeated since coming back from her injury. And Blade passes the brass knuckles into the Bunny. Orange Cassidy comes in to take them away, and Statlander wins with the Big Bang Theory in 8:56. And then after, we got a post-match attack with the Blade knocking Cassidy into Statlander, and then Jack Evans and Angelico appeared, joining Blade in the attack, and this led to the Blade taking back the brass knuckles and nailing Orange Cassidy with a big shot.
Yeah, I couldn't really exactly like understand why the Hybrid 2 are coming out. And then I realized that, yeah, all these three are in the same faction.
Yes, all these tag teams are in the Hardy family office.
The Hardy family office was just, I don't know, I think is the weakest faction. Maybe weaker than the Pretty Picture or whatever they call themselves.
This was one angle I thought too many on this show. I just thought there was just a lot packed into this show.
I think they just like want ways to, you know, build interest and to really let you know about the matches that are coming up. You know, I thought Statlander Bunny was good. Most of it to me took place in commercial, and therefore I don't know if I have that big of an opinion on it. But you know, it was a way to build to also Blade versus Orange Cassidy for the next Dynamite. Is that it?
They haven't announced when it'll take place, but it'll be on one of those shows, you would think. Schiavone interviewed QT Marshall about Brock Anderson's win last week, and he just said, yeah, he was named Wrestler of the Week. I wasn't. And he hopes that Cody gets cast in a geeky superhero film so he isn't around anymore. And this was our plug for the strap match on July 7th.
I didn't think it was a great promo from QT.
Didn't really say anything. Like, there was no advancement. There was no big promo for the strap match. It was just kind of a interview that was there. So Wednesday's show has Miro and Brian Pillman Jr. for the TNT title, Baker and Rebel against Vicky and Nyla, MJF against Guevara, and the Young Bucks against Eddie Kingston and Penta. Non-title, but if Penta and Kingston win, they get a future tag title shot. So I would say like it's a pretty good lineup that they have on Wednesday, given the stars involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brian Pillman cut a promo saying Miro has a messiah complex. He's fought for everything he has. He's going to check Miro's ego and win the title on Wednesday.
I thought he sounded great. Very good, very intense, natural delivery. The more they give him, the more impressed I am with him.
I could see that. It will be interesting what they put on last on Wednesday, because typically they do put their title matches on last. So that one could be the main event on Wednesday.
Sure.
Penta and Eddie cut a promo that Eddie said that the Young Bucks took Jon Moxley out in wrestling, but not in real life. And the tag titles are what feed the Young Bucks' ego, so they're going to hurt them by taking those tag titles away. And then Penta spoke in Spanish, so Alex Abrahantes translated. They're going to run over them next week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he meant figuratively. Kenny Omega, Jungle Boy for the AEW Championship. This crowd was insane for this match. They were incredible. And
what was your level of anticipation heading into this? And what could you sense of the public, if you sensed anything?
I thought like the build, I thought it was good. I didn't think they ever hit the level of great, but when this show started, like this felt like an important match. And when the match began, like this crowd really took it up, and Jungle Boy felt like this super babyface.
It felt like, I mean, maybe this, part of this is because Dynamite, has been somewhat lacking in, I suppose, like heavily promoted big matches over the past several weeks. So this one to me felt like, one that I definitely had to catch. And as a result, like it felt like a big match by the time it started to me.
Yeah. I thought they by the time this bell rung, this had that big feel to it. First, we had Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt out with Jungle Boy, and then Don Callis and the Good Brothers out with Omega. Excalibur, as Omega's walking out with all his titles, had to just take one here for the team and do this huge hard sell for the AEW replica title belts. Just felt like the wrong time, wrong place, but you have to understand that, these are money makers and they got to plug the shit out of them. But nonetheless,
I think it's the right time. I mean, he's the guy who actually has the real thing. Well, why wouldn't you do it here?
Dude, he was just going so over the top. Like, you can be a champion too, and these are not replicas. All of the seconds.
I know what to get you for your birthday.
Oh, don't. I swear to God, don't, because that's an expensive joke that is not that funny. All of them get ejected, and Don Callis moves over to commentary, and they state it's a 60-minute time limit, but we will stay for as long as the match lasts. I didn't think there was a chance that they would go over 10 o'clock, because it would have been a stupid idea to do that. I
mean, it's a disaster, not just like with TNT, but like all the other places that air Dynamite.
It's
so
like
it's never going to happen unless they somehow like think it's.
They'd have to tell you, like they would have to drum it into you, because you'd have so many upset people that would be going to watch this tomorrow morning, and the ending is cut off. Like
messes up the DVR. Yeah,
I'm glad they say it, but they should never do it.
Exactly. It's like just saying it is enough. It's like, hey, like you don't always have to offer to pay the bill, but you offering makes me feel good. Like it's one of those types of things where like you saying it allows me to suspend my disbelief. You're at least thinking about it.
Yeah. And they did it right here. So the crowd was super hot for Jungle Boy. His family was in the front row. They were showing them. And man, Jungle Boy, I thought Jungle Boy was terrific in this match. Like, for the role he was playing, he was spectacular. He hit this arm drag drop kick combo, just sending Omega to the floor, and did this kip up as they're roaring. Kenny Omega was phenomenal. For what this match needed to be, these two could not have been better suited for them in this match. Omega's in control throughout the break, and then Jungle Boy catches them with a brainbuster. Hits a series of dives, culminating with a Tope con Hero, and Jungle Boy gets spun around and nails a super kick. Omega comes back with a Snapdragon V-trigger response, and then goes for the one-winged angel, and it's countered with the Poison Rana. Jungle Boy is able to recover, and he gets the snare trap. Omega is getting near the ropes, and this is when the Good Brothers run out, Luchasaurus and Marco are out, and then Frankie Kazarian fights them to the back, and Omega is then pulled to the center with the snare trap briefly released, and Omega kicks him away to avoid it, because they made such a big deal about the snare trap not being broken, and it wasn't here. He goes for a V-trigger, Jungle Boy hits a discus lariat, and then we get Omega with the brain buster. Jungle Boy gets the snare trap back, and he gets him to the center, and Omega gouges the eye of Jungle Boy, and he has to let go. He drops Jungle Boy in the corner, V-trigger, Tiger Driver 98, and my God, did this crowd bite on this as the potential end that Jungle Boy would fall to the Tiger Driver 98, and Jungle Boy kicks out. I mean, this guy was barely alive for the Tiger Driver 98.
I just love hearing you say Tiger Driver 98.
Yes. And Omega hits the One-Winged Angel for the win in 17 minutes and 19 seconds. The cherry on top was the overhead shot that they had where Omega clutches the title and just holds it up. And Jungle Boy, the way his body is like configured on the mat, it's like this guy's spine had been readjusted from the One-Winged Angel, and his neck is all bent, and it looks like he has just been destroyed from this One-Winged Angel. It was a beautiful shot. And then they go to his mother in the front row as Tony Schiavone is saying how proud Luke Perry would have been. This was drama at its peak. And then Omega is winding up. This asshole is going to hit him with the title belt. After all this, and then Christian Cage runs in to stop Omega. Matt Hardy and Private Party get involved. There's a Twist of Fate attempt that gets countered. Christian goes for the kill switch, but it's stopped when the Young Bucks run in, double super kick Christian, and he takes a Twist of Fate from Matt Hardy, and that ends the night. A good night for the Pages, but not a great night for the Cages.
Oh, did not realize that. Thank you very much. Very good. Great match. You know, arguably the best match of Jungle Boy's AEW career, and I would say
I love this. I just thought, like, for what the goal was of this match, like, it's not going to be everyone's like match of the year, but it was great. I really enjoyed this. It was tremendous for Jungle Boy. Kenny Omega was a phenomenal heel champion that just escapes in the end. I think you are going towards Omega and Christian. I think that seems pretty clear. That's probably a TV match. But that seems you have a direction coming out of this. And I feel like Jungle Boy is a bigger star as a result of this than he was prior.
Totally. Absolutely. You know, this match carried high expectations from both men, Jungle Boy in particular, and he absolutely killed it. I thought he was tremendous. Everything executed to perfection. And most importantly, this was the type of match that really, again, showcased exactly, and this time in a big match situation, how much this crowd connects with him. Every time you give this kid the spotlight, this is the reaction that he gets. You know, I saw some people actually suggest that they wouldn't be surprised if they gave him the belt, or that, maybe they should give him the belt tonight. It's not the right time. I don't think even if he won the belt tonight, I don't think the reign would be that long. And for Jungle Boy, he is the type of person that I don't want to see win the belt unless they are confident in him being able to carry this company for a solid, X amount of time. So now's not the time. There's a bigger story to be told, and he comes out of this match. All people were expecting is that the man has a great performance, and he absolutely did. He won a lot. Kenny, again, just proving that he's maybe the best big game player in the industry. Almost a guarantee that in a title match he'll be an excellent performer, and really not much more to say than that, but a great match for Jungle Boy.
There were definitely points in this match where you could look and you could sell me on a compelling argument that Jungle Boy gets this massive win. Like, God knows, Dynamite, you're going back to Wednesday. Boom, you have something huge coming out of this show for your return to Wednesdays, and you do the rematch on TV. But I mean, ultimately, yeah, it would have to be probably a 3 to 4 week reign. And I'm not crazy about that. Like, you are telling a larger story with Omega. And I think you got a ton out of this for Jungle Boy in defeat. So I thought this presentation was really, really strong.
Yeah, and now we wait to see follow up. You know, sometimes like we often see guys in these like whether it be world title or TNT title situations that get these massive performances, and they just kind of fall by the wayside, and we forget about them. Jungle Boy being one of those names for a few times. So we'll see what sort of follow up exists for him, and I hope they can build on this momentum.
All right, those were the two shows on the forum tonight. We did put a poll up for both, and SmackDown got a 5.9